Yeah, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you how this simple Twitter content tool converts their users and how you can copy them to make more MRR. Because the reason why I'm making this video in itself is because I've experienced their onboarding, I've experienced their UI, and must I say that holy shit, they're actually doing really good. And it's actually quite rare for me to see a product that kind of nails down the basic one-on-ones elements. So I wouldn't say perfectly, but they executed things so well donely, if that makes sense. The product that I'm going to be talking about is Postal, and Postal is basically a Twitter content tool that helps you to get more clients, to get more customers, to get more followers, views, engagement, impressions by creating better content on X. These are the two founders of Postal, Joshua and Robin. And how I actually found out about Postal is because I've seen some of Robin's posts on my Twitter timeline and saw that he's actually building this tool that helps creators on Twitter to make better content. Then that's how I actually saw Postal, which is the tool, and that's how I experienced the product and how I'm making this video. So this whole entire premise of this video is about optimizing simplicity for activation and conversion. That's the name of the game. That's the whole entire benefit from this video, is how you can copy Postal to increase your activation and conversions. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is their landing page. What makes Postal's landing page so good and why does it matter? It's because simplicity converts. Firstly, I just want to talk about the hero section here, the headline that you can learn from them, and that is it states what the product does and then the outcome. That's it. I've seen some headlines where you're not really telling people what your product does. You're basically just saying things, but this is how a Postal really nails their first impressions when it comes to UI. It tells the readers what they are, which is creating X content so good, and then you're ending it with an outcome, which gets you clients. This is what most landing pages do wrong, and that is complexity. You would show every feature, proving that you've built a lot, use these technical languages to prove that you're smart, and you'd have multiple CTAs. Like some landing pages I've seen, you'd have a button here, and then you have a button here. But you see what Postal does is simplicity. Show one outcome, which is what the user wants, which is more clients, and using plain languages. You see here, even in their description, their sub headline, it says it's like having the best creators you follow writing content for you. It's very humanizing to have this type of copy, right? And yeah, they only have one CTA, which is clear direction right here. They do have another CTA which is separated from the one below it, which is going to the dashboard. And last of all, they speak to a core audience. They're not trying to speak to everyone, right? Postal in itself is already a micro niche product by creating a software tool for X creators. So they're talking to a very core selected of audience. One thing that I also want to talk about is the headbar. You see how they only have three things, which is the homepage, the core features, and the pricing. The pricing is important thing to have, of course, for any other landing page in their head bar, because when a user were to just read your hero section, and once they learn about what your product does, the second thing they're gonna look is the pricing page. 100 fucking percent. That's the second thing that they're always gonna look for. That's just basic human psychology. So simplicity is the ultimate form of certification. That's a quote by Da Vinci. And the paradox to this is the more you add to your landing page, the less sophisticated it becomes. And then the less things you have when it comes to UI design or copy, the more sophisticated it becomes. So Postal is a prime case study on that. And you can feel free to just visit their site whenever you want, and you'd see what I mean. Simplicity is the ultimate form of certification. This is how they actually nail down um, minimalism and simplicity in their UI by having less things, but those less things speaks a lot of volume. So the core lesson of Postal is pick one core outcome of your product, which is in Postal's case is content that gets you more followers and leads, and build your whole entire page around that one outcome. So in summary, the whole entire page revolves around their main value proposition and digestible copy. I know that I'm just breaking down the hero section, but that's just a whole summary of their whole entire page, which is nailing down in their main value proposition and just having so easy, digestible, readable copy. Just these main two things, and that goes for the whole entire landing page of Postal. And now this is where we get to the UI, starting from the whole onboarding pathway from the SSO, the sign up process. This is just like basic stuff that everyone should know. Just like a very simple, very clean sign up process that you should already nail down at this point. And I just want to talk about just one thing about the sign up processes, and that is it's missing an Apple SSO option. Sure, since Postal is a micro niche product for creators on Twitter, it makes sense for them to have Twitter, right? That makes sense. That's solid. And then they have Google. That's of course a non-negotiable. Everyone should have Google. But just another thing that it's a necessary nice to have, and that is an Apple iCloud option to sign in, just right below it somewhere. Reason being is because the sign up process is basically a way for people to get into the house, like an open house you have. So you're already squeezing the lemon. Why not squeeze twice as hard to get twice the amount of juice? That's the analogy I have when it comes to having that one extra SSO option, which is Apple. Everybody uses Apple. I'm using an iPhone. Funny enough, my Twitter account is actually attached to my iCloud account. So whenever I want to sign into my Twitter account, I'm actually using my iCloud account. And I can't be the only one who's doing that. So there we have it. That's why you should always have an Apple SSO option for your product, any product. And after that, once you sign up, this is of course Postal's own way to get a user to onboard, which is authorizing your app with Postal. And then we have some questionnaires right here, which I'm not gonna get through because that's not really important. But what I do want to get through is what you get through after the questionnaire, which is this welcome page. And yeah, so this is basically an optional welcome slash onboarding video for new users. It's basically a real video of a real human being saying that you made the right decision, and let me show you how. The reason why I'm saying a real human being is because this is just a quick intro video from the founder right here, that's Joshua, and this is just a quick 3 minutes video of, yeah, basically it's a onboarding video. And the whole thesis of this video is basically to show users why you actually made the right decision, and it's basically a way to hype the users more to use the product. The effect of this specific welcome video is that it's okay, so it's actually placed smartly in a way that it's placed at the most uncertain part of the user's journey, which is the first 30 seconds after sign up, when they haven't decided yet whether they want to stay or stick around, whether they want to use Postal or use someone else. And so confusion is one of the biggest reasons for churn. This video prevents that. And this video in itself is a short 3 minutes video of the founder himself onboarding you on how to use the product. And of course, when it comes to any educational onboarding videos, tutorial, intro, make it optional. Just like how a Postal is, you can just keep it, to a next thing right away. And then right after the page of the welcome video is the paywall. Now, Postal shows the paywall right in the onboarding process early on after you sign up. And why showing the paywall is actually genius for a free trial model. Now, this is a very core lesson that you can learn about paywall from Postal. And that is, you're asking commitment first. This filters unserious users to leave, and the serious users will stay. So every person who enters the product proves to themselves that they are willing to pay after the free trial is over. And the next thing I want to talk about is, you will notice that Postal is actually charging a $1 plan instead of a free trial. This is a fucking core lesson that I've only seen such a handful amount of product does when it comes to the free trial, because most product would only do a completely free trial. But from the names that I can think of other than Postal is Shopify. And that is, yeah, doing the number one free plan instead of the free plan. The reason why I'm really emphasizing on this is because it's way more dangerous than you think. This small commitment of only paying $1 separates the freeloaders who will abuse their system from paying into it. A prime example is I've seen one of the founder, Robin, actually made a post on Twitter saying that they have freeloader users who would abuse their free plan right after the 7 days. Meaning that these users, once after the 7 day finishes, they will just create a new account and then just only use the product for the free plan. And the way to combat that is to charge them $1. And this is what I also call the foot in the door principle. The psychology of this is that small commitment leads to a larger commitment, meaning that if you are paying $1 today, it's way more easier for you as a user to justify paying the full amount the month later. Meaning that upgrading to the full plan, which in this case it could be $29 for you per month, it feels more like a continuation than a new decision that you have to make. Because when you are charging them for a free plan, the users have already inserted their credit card number, but it's only for $1. So the friction for them to sign up, it isn't that much. But at the same time, they now have committed to you. The second thing I want to talk about is I am kind of like micro analyzing it, but I mean that's the whole entire breakdown of this video is the copy of this. Join for $1 and start growing. Again, they're emphasizing the value of $1, and then they're talking about the benefit, the outcome of what you're getting, which is in purple text. Same principle of what I talked about in the hero section of talking about what you're doing, what you're getting, and then the benefit outcome of it, which is start growing together. Then after that is this, the wall of benefit that you are getting from that $1. This is, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. You're demonstrating the features and the values of what the users are getting from that $1. So that's, I mean, that's quite self-explanatory. Of course, you gotta explain what they're getting, the full on. But one thing that I want to elaborate more is the crossed out items that is intentional. You see here, these crossed out gray items. Reason why they're showing this is because they want to create a high desire for the higher tier, which is the professional plan. Because in this whole everything, that's only the starter plan, and they're kind of like showing you what you don't get in the starter plan. You're more willing to subscribe to the professional plan. And then the choosing of the plan, you will notice that they purposefully by default choose the yearly plan. A lot of products do this. Reason being is because for every product, of course, you would want to have a longer lifetime value, a higher ARPU for every user, which is why by getting a user to commit to a yearly plan, which means they're paying for a whole year, then that of course increases the lifetime value for each user. This is what you call the default bias, and that is most users will just accept the default option without changing, which is in this case it's the yearly plan as the default page right here. The another thing I want to be talking about is the how it works section. This is an important thing for Postal to have because transparency converts. This is transparency being shown to a user when they're asking the users to pay early on. Because bear in mind, this paywall is being shown literally right after the sign up processes. For a user, you haven't even seen the UI, let alone the first setup, the first aha moment of the product. This also removes the number one objection they would have, which is when will I get charged without knowing? Which you see here. They're also being specific with the dates. You see here, today you're paying $1 for 7 days, and then this is what I mean by transparency specifically is that before 30 days, you will get a reminder of your trial ending 3 days before your trial ends. And you would notice that the dates are being specific. They're not saying that, or after 7 days, your subscription starts. They're actually telling you the dates in itself. And last but not least, when it comes to the paywall, is the importance of having a testimony in the paywall. Same thing about what I mentioned earlier. This is still a stage where users would to still have the highest anxiety because they're about to pay for something. Even though if it's just $1, they are committing to something which is real. Because bear in mind that this is not a free plan that you just click and then done. You have to insert your credit card number. And yeah, having this social proof at peak anxiety brings in maximum reassurance. This also reduces any last second abandonment right here. Bro, that's a lot, bro. That's so much content, bro. Holy shit. So I know right here we're only talking about one thing, but this is such an important thing for me to talk about, which is the paywall of Postal. And dare I say this is actually one of the big reasons on why they're able to convert so many users is because of how effective this single page of the paywall is. So right after that, following that, once a user is qualified, they were to click this button, the start 7-day free trial, and then you're being presented with the loading screen. As simple as. Right after that, you're being presented to the UI. And when that happens, at the same time, confettis happen. Like, fucking celebration happens and all of that. Reason this matters way more than it looks. Because the confetti here triggers one specific feeling, and that is earned reward. This is the reason why the confetti is so effective and so important for Postal. Because I want you to bear in mind, especially since a user went through all of that process of signing up, watching the welcome video, going through the paywall, inserting the credit card. When they see this confetti of, oh hey, right now you are being shown the UI finally. Signing up now suddenly feels like an achievement than a transaction. So it's actually meaningful. This is the UI in itself, and this is where most users are going to be spending 90% of the time in Postal. I would also say this is the aha moment of the whole entire product, the first aha moment, and that is the chat to start creating your content on X. I would say that when you land in the UI for the first time, Postal doesn't leave you alone, meaning that Postal builds features and immediately show users on how to get the most out of them, which is by this highlighted video right here on the onboarding video. Before you start chatting, which is before you start using this feature, watch this video. And this is the way they get users to activate this first value moment, which is essentially a focused highlighted onboarding video on how you can activate the first aha moment of Postal, which is again, that is the chat right here. And next thing I want to be talking about in the UI is the sidebar. This is a sidebar that basically consists of all of the feature that you need as a user: the chat, the editor, the Calendly, the viral post, the content base and writing style, and then you got the customer support. You notice that once you click or at every tab you see here, you're being presented into the feature itself. There's no tabs, there's no what you call it, the pop down tab for you to open, and then there's more other features. This is what I mean by simplicity, guys. And more deeper, I want to be talking about how every feature has its own pop-up tutorial at the bottom right of the screen. Just like the chat page right you see here, which is just this thing right here. Every feature, every core feature has this, which is an optional in-app tutorial video for you to learn how to use the product properly. And now the benefit of this pop-up tutorial video is that a user is shown a tutorial video when they are about to use that specific feature. So this is peak relevance, and this is how you retain users with info. Because I want you to imagine, once you were to be exploring this tool, like let's say the editor, at the bottom right of the screen, you would be seeing this small video of how to use that feature. And this is important because you're showing it at a perfect timing when the user is about to learn and when they're about to use the feature. And of course, an important thing to know is that when it comes to this onboarding tutorial videos, make it optional every single time, because you see here they have this tab that says don't show again. Always make the don't show again or the option to make it watchable or not available, because so that no user so that they don't feel forced to watch the video. That's a very important thing for you to know. Not everyone's gonna watch a tutorial video. Those who are gonna watch the tutorial video are gonna be your power users and they're gonna benefit it, and those who don't, they don't. So don't force it. I would consider that this is a system that respects both the beginner who needs guidance and the power users who don't. And also, right below the navigation bar or the sidebar, whatever you want to call it, is this, the trial progress bar. This is I would actually call a sneaky activation strategy, and I'll tell you why. They're being okay, they're basically creating urgency without being aggressive. The psychological effect of this trial progress bar is that you see as when the bar fills up as the days count of 1 day of your free trial, 2 day of your free trial, 3 day of your free trial, so on and so forth, it motivates the users who are genuinely using the product to get the most out of it, and this would drive more engagement. When this drives more engagement, it's more of an easier decision for them to upgrade since there's more usage, right? More engagement of the product equals more usage, and when they're using your features more, they're getting more used to using your product, they would be way more willing and way more prone to decide to upgrade to the whole monthly plan. So yeah, that's basically the whole entire video I want to make, just about the things that you can learn about how Postal do the things, from their paywall to how they have sneaky ways on how to convert and activate users. And yeah, this is just about the frameworks and principles I'm doing about Postal. So if you wanna actually apply the same principles on how to increase your activation, how to convert more users, basically how to make more MRR in your product if you're stuck to a certain stage, you can work with me one on one. We can work together. We can print more money, and there we fucking go.